Okay, so hi and welcome to today's Arts and Wellness Cafe. I'm so glad that you could join me. We have quite a full program today. I've just been drinking some water. I was just like, oh, is it all over my mouth? Anyway, so we're going to go through it and I will leave the timestamps for you to be able to connect at the points that you want, but just sit and hang out, grab something to drink and just chill with me a while. So do we have a word for this week? Let me think. I think the word for this week or for this month is reconnect, and I'll talk about that further down the line. But what we normally do is think about what you're drinking and staying hydrated, but think about what you're drinking. Now, as I get older, I think more of the things that I used to drink, the alcoholic beverages, but just even down to like I went and got it was supposed to be in two different places. I went to get a smoothie. One, they made it with it looked like this powder. So most of them use this powder, like a protein powder, and it was just like, that's not how I make my smoothies. It's just like fruit, and depending on what milk you use. So I had reactions to both, and one I said to her, I want a colourful smoothie, because the ones that I order seem to be, well, they're oat based, but they normally come out like a brown looking colour, and it's just like, or grey. It's just like, that's not what I want. I want like a vibrant mixed berries and banana. So that's what I had. And then the mixed berries contained, I think it was blackberries, whichever one has got loads of seeds. And then when it goes through that blender, it was just like there's a million tiny blackberry seeds in this thing getting stuck in my teeth. And then after I drunk it, it was just like, oh my God, I think I need to lie down. So there was a reaction to whatever that mix is that they put in there. They just call it protein. So it was just like, yeah, and it might have been milk based. And then the other one that I had was at this coffee shop, and I've been there a few times and they can't make a cappuccino. It's just like, I don't know what. They can't make a cappuccino. And the last time I had one from them, as I walked back to my car, you realise that half of the cup was filled with froth. And so you got about this much. The cup is this big and that bit is froth. And it was just like, I'm never buying one from there again. But it's just like, I had known that, and I don't know why I did buy it again anyway. So had a smoothie from there, and again it was just another one of these really milky, cow's milky, powdery kind of drinks that it's just like your body cannot take this kind of assault anymore. So you need to just think about what it is that you're ingesting. And then the other thing was, who doesn't like great cake? Who doesn't like bread pudding? And who doesn't like sponge cake? So anyway, the comfort-y inside of me was just like wanting comfort. And so when I went to the store, I brought all three. One of them was supposed to be for somebody else, but then they weren't where I thought they were going to be, so I couldn't give it to them. And then the bread pudding with rum sauce, and all I could remember was the bread pudding from when we grew up. My mum used to make bread pudding. I started to make bread pudding a few years back, or more than a few years back. Haven't made it for a long time, but yeah, I think it was the the whole trying to, with the season, trying to recreate a feeling, a memory, and because those were the memories that when you look back, they filled you with, you just felt seen, you felt comforted, you didn't have loads of responsibilities, and you didn't have things happening that you had no control over, or, you know, things going wrong, appliances not working, and the whole shebang. But it was, yeah, so it's a time as a child where you have, and obviously not all kids have that, but my mum loved to cook, and so the kitchen was filled with the smells of the chicken roasting, the ham that she'd stuffed with cloves, and then the desserts that she would make, the apple pie and the apple crumble, glistening in the oven as they baked, and the sugar melted on top, and the crunchiness of the crumble, and the custard that was just at the right thickness. So when I looked at that bread pudding, that was one of my favourites that that and her cake. Anyway, so when I looked at that bread pudding, those memories and thoughts came rushing back, and it was just like, oh, let me get bread pudding, and then, oh, I've got to get a slice. The slice is more than a slice. It's like it could go for 4 people. This slice of, they call it a slice of great cake. Anyway, and so when I got back, I had to eat some, taste it, and, you know, relive those memories again through the senses. And come the night, last night, it was just like, why am I wide awake? I went to bed earlier than I would. Why am I still awake? And it was just like, it's all that sugar. Your body can't take it anymore. And then throughout my body, there was just like different areas of pain. And it was just like, what is that? Oh my gosh, what's that? What's this? It was just like, this is what sugar does to your body. It stops you from sleeping. This is me. This is the symptoms that I'm getting. I can't sleep, and I'm just wide awake, like, you know. And it's not even as if there's loads of thoughts rushing by. It's just like, I just need to sleep now because I want to get up early. I've got 1,000,001 things to do. So anyway, so it's about, for me, it's about reconnecting to those things in your life that you said you wanted to do, and your health, because we know we're getting older, and if I start, you know, really going every day with the exercises and everything, I might be able to maintain my current, or I might get a bit better in terms of my health. You know, I might get a bit fitter, and you're really then just maintaining it. And it's just like, you have to do it. It's like what you used to eat back then when you was in your 20s, and it wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't notice anything, it wouldn't have an effect. Those days are gone. So we, me, myself and I, have to, you know, really, like, as I was laying there last night, I was just like, oh my gosh, my hip, my ankle, not my ankle, my shin, my elbow. And I was just like, oh, if these things stop, I promise I will start exercising again, getting healthy. And I've been looking for a pedometer. I did talk about this. Where was I talking about this? It was in one of my, for the patrons, I did a post, and so I found the pedometer. I was looking for a pedometer. I had one. I've got 2. One was quite good, and it talks to you. So I found it, but the, maybe I could have fixed it actually. I was just in such disgust. Like, I had about 1 million of those little circle batteries, they'd all corroded, and then the battery in the pedometer was just like, it looked like it had gone. And then the connections, it was just like, this is not going to work. It worked for a moment and then went off, didn't talk, didn't do anything. So I was just like, I just need to get another one. I'm not getting any app on my phone because I don't want to have my phone anywhere near my body, because I used to, when I was out in the garden, put it in my pocket, and I started feeling this kind of ache just where the phone would be. So it was just like, no, we can't do this anymore. Anyway, so that's one of my things for the next week and the rest of next year. It is to exercise on a daily basis, and out in the garden, which we will be going out there, I used to spend at least 2 hours kind of cutting, moving, lifting, shifting, pulling, rearranging, so that you kind of, and then walking back and forth, and then you're exerting quite a lot of energy. So that would normally be my kind of exercise. But just walking, I used to love walking. And so where we live here, you're at the highway. And I've never been one for walking on the highway. But where I used to live, you could walk around. It was in like an area where you could walk around, and then the gymnasium wasn't too far, so I would walk down there, walk around, and good morning, and that was fun. I enjoyed that because it was like you were part of a kind of community, and then the more you saw people, then you'd get talking even more. The conversation would be longer, and yeah, I enjoyed that. But now it's just like, yeah, I need to. And then Cole is very skittish on the road, so you can't take him out to walk on the road and not have him. He pulled me into the mud a few years ago, so I haven't taken him for a walk. And I know he probably needs he just practice, I guess, and training. And he's getting older now. I've noticed in his going upstairs, it's just like, oh my gosh, when did that happen? He has difficulty even into the studio. I was watching him this morning. We have like 6-7 steps going up into the studio, and he's just like struggling, and I'm just like, so how are you going to cope? We got stairs, if you want to come in. And he's just sat there right here, splattered in the way. Anyway, so let's go out for a minute, and then we'll come back in. And at the moment in the garden, we have maybe 6 or 7 birds are nesting, and it's really lovely in the morning where you hear the chattering, and the little birds are very the baby birds are very noisy because they just want food. Once they've been able to fly from the nest, and I'll show you the one up there, it's a bit I was kind of doing a makeshift something, because I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, so the baby birds, yeah, they just like wah, 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 wah. They don't make that sound, but it's just like constant, and they follow whether it's the mother or the father around, get me food now. It's like, that's how it sounds. Get me food now. I want it now. And then they get some, and then it's just like, that's not enough. That's not enough. Anyway, so let's go into the garden. Let me show you Cole, and I'll show you some of the other things. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, so that's Cole. It's just like, why is it, you've got the rest of the floor. I do have to clear it a bit. You get to see a bit behind the scenes. So all of that is going. it's recycling. Apart from that, anyway, yeah, so the studio does need a tidy. So yeah, look how much room he gives me. And then the other place he likes to go is under there, and he goes all the way to the back. Not that there's much space there. Anyway, let me show you the bird's nest. Okay, so there used to be like mosquito netting up there. So there wasn't a pane of glass, it was mosquito netting. So I've covered it with bubble wrap and stapled it. And then a bird must have tore down part of the netting and it's got in there. So that's a nest. There's a baby bird or an egg in there. And every now and again, like, you saw them building it and coming in, and it was just like, and then they were doing like a Tom Cruise out of their Mission Impossible. And now there's a bird in there. So they're going to have to teach it how to get out of this area. There's like a hole. They've made a hole up there. Just there. Anyway, so let's go in the garden for a bit. Oh, let's start from here. Yeah, so this is the scene. I've been cutting back. This is my guava tree. So I need to cut that about there. Oh. And it's all of the rain. I was going to say rain and the snow. All of the rain that we've had has just made everything grow really fast, and my tools are blunt. So I need to sharpen them so that the time that it would normally take me to cut back, let's go here, would be less. It's quite strenuous on the arms, the biceps and the triceps. It's quite strenuous, but I came out this morning feeling off, and then I came and stood. I walked around. Oh, let me show you my mangoes. So the mangoes are growing. Oh look, I got some bitter ginger plants. They have flowered, but I was watching some other lady's one, and hers were like, it looked like she had a farm, but she was like, oh, she waters them once a week. So it was just like, I didn't think I had to, but maybe I do. Anyway, look, mangoes. I counted 16. So I'm keeping an eye on them. There's I've got 7 mango trees. This is the first one to fruit, surrounded by that's moringa, and this is my apple blossom tree. And on my creative gardener, I show, these are the pods here. They drop their pods. Suriname cherry. But anyway, so yeah, I was feeling just a bit, oh, look at the pods. That's them there. See, the birds are just having a field day in here. But that moringa tree there, I want to trim by half. It does mean that, well, they do come into that tree, but it's just like, it does need to be trimmed. All of the trees do. But I came just at this spot, and I'm gonna be quiet for a moment so that you can take it in. And I was just talking, and then I said, you guys know what I need. See, look, there's a baby and its mama. See, it's saying, I want food, I'm hungry. And then when I stood here for a bit, I just felt so much better. How many different types of green, shades of green. Then you got pops of colour there.
Melodies of our love so true, older and deeper than time itself. Each piece of the puzzle complete in a love story that was meant to be. As we wander the garden, I am at peace. The gift of life growing before.
I wanted it to feel like it was an adventure out here, that you'd be walking out here and then you'd be like, oh my gosh, look at that. You know, there'd be a plant that it's just like suddenly the flowers are blooming and the aromas are gorgeous, or again like pops of colour like this, the leaves that, if you could feel that, it feels so lovely. So I imagine, like, you know, what would happen if I was doing some of my mixed media slow stitching on them, and then just all the things that you can get from, you know, like the aloes and all the things that you can do and all the things that I have been able to do. It's just been like, I've just been really thankful, you know, to grow aloes. Like I used to get a pot plant, and I had a pot plant, and I had a cactus, and then I had, you know, Swiss cheese plant. But to grow some of these plants that you see in Kew Gardens, it's just like the sweet salt there. And then the gifts from the birds, moringa, well, not the moringa, but the gifts from the birds. They gifted me many what are they called? Bay leaf plants. They've given me about 20 bay leaf plants that have then since grown. Oh, let's just see a little small one here. See, they drop the seeds in many different locations. So you've got one grown really healthy here, and look, there's another one here. And I had been at first, I had moved a few because I was just like, oh, I could be a garden centre and sell the plants. And I potted some in pots and they didn't really survive. And I guess it wasn't that I wanted to be a garden. Yeah, I just love planting. I love planting and I love growing, and I don't like throwing seeds away. And it's just like, you know, if it can grow, let it. I've given lots of plants away. I've got some noni. Tell you what, so maybe I'll do a giveaway. Should I do a giveaway? If you happen to be in Barbados, I've got 2 noni plants for 2 lucky winners. Just this is Jamaican milkwood. Pretty scented flowers. Should I do that? All right. Yeah. So leave a comment, and we'll take it from there. But I mean, I'm not shipping, so you have to be located in Barbados. Oh, this is so lovely, isn't it? I've been writing. I wrote a song about the garden, and put a melody to it. It's not me singing, but what are you doing? Okay, we gotta go in. But yeah, the other thing is that I do kind of come out and look at the trees. Like I notice some termite, those mound things, and so try and remove them when I can and try and treat the ground. I've been trying a load of different natural remedies, but there's something up there that I hadn't planned to bring you out here to see this, but I'm not sure whether it's just a collection of leaves that have died or whether they've managed to reach up there. So I guess I'm gonna have to I can see lots of dead leaves, but it's giving that kind of vibe, and I can see a trail up the side of the tree. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I didn't realise. Look, here's another gift from the bird. The collection of birds, another bay leaf. So I said to that one, I'll just leave you there. This is supposed to be my, I'm supposed to get some tiles put down. I did the steps, brought all the rocks here, put marl here, and then we had a really heavy rain and it washed all the marl all the way down here and out there. Okay, so let us go back in the studio. Are you ready? Come on, let's go. Well, thanks for joining me out in the garden. It's always, I think it's my second favourite place. My studio is my first love, and the garden comes in a very close. It's like they both give me a sense of peace, and in the garden is where I can see the things that I either plant or propagate. I see the results and I see them grow and flourish, and this is the garden is a testimony to 7 years of just daily. I think the only times that I've missed it is, say, if I've been ill, and that would have only have been like I mainly just get like chills, so it's never been like in bed for weeks, but it's just been like maybe a day but I'm always out there and I'm always working out there, so and I put in a lot of work, and and then the birds started to come and share, and now they reside, and that is just an awesome feeling. It's just it's, oh my gosh. I would love everybody to be able to have access to a green space. I think it's very important, in the same way that I think creativity, being able to do a creative activity, you don't have to be, you know, doing visual arts or whatever, but finding a way to express yourself, whether it's through your words, your writing, or your words, spoken word, poetry, dance, drama, theatre, you know, a whole wide range of things. And I think that whatever you decide to do, that you expose yourself to the other, because there's always, you know, different things that you can take away from, say, you know, whether it's you've been to a play, or whether you go and watch a spoken word or see a film. There was a film that I watched, because did I tell you I've been writing? I've been writing these. I've written stories over time, and what I wanted to do was illustrate them myself. So year after year, oh yeah, I must get round to it. Anyway, so I saw this. It was based on A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was called Caribbean Dreams? So there were many local artists that I recognised in the film, and I can't remember the name of the lady who wrote the screenplay. Anyway, so Caribbean Dreams, I'll leave the details, and but it was a really nice, I saw it on YouTube, and yeah, I think it was really well acted, and I liked the way that that it was put together, basically, and it then got me thinking about the idea of you know, the use of fantasy in a story, and then that got me, you know, further on, you know, doing other things. And then as I was writing some of the story, some songs started to come to me. So when I was trying to flesh out all the main characters and what is their kind of path in the story, different songs started to come to me. So the one in the garden is one of them, and there's in the story, it goes from, you're having a early access here. So we go from the past to the present to the future to the past, and then to the future, or we start in the future. Well, the past, the present, and the future basically is and the idea of how we're connected to one another, and the again, even the theme for the month, the word for the month, reconnect, and it is about that. It's about how we reconnect with one another, and the gifts that have been placed in us is not just for us, it is for us to express them, because they could be the healing for somebody else. And even within ourselves, us expressing something that maybe you can't articulate, but say expressing it. It's my sculpture. Where is you? Where is your me, myself, and I? She may be back. Where are you? That's interesting. Ah, she's up there watching. But like, you know, like you might express, like, okay, I'll just showing you this. So I started making these, and I called them altars, but it's incomplete. It's not exactly what they are, but I haven't yet found the words to express exactly what they are, and there's still work that needs to go into it. And so I've got about 4 that are, this is the one that's closest to be finished, and then I've got about 4 that are wanting to be painted and have me express on them. And then I was looking at some of the frames that I'd created, and I was thinking to myself, am I ever gonna? They're made for. It's this. The base is cardboard, but then as you build on it, it becomes solid. Yeah. I could drop this and it wouldn't break. I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna do that. But it is solid, and it's how I my paper, my paper clay, but it's solid, and something was coming to me as I'm holding it and talking about it. There's some imagery that needs to go on here. It's a mosquito. There's imagery that maybe needs to go on them. So I will see what the next stage is. But I've got some frames that I was thinking to myself, I'm not gonna do it, but I don't want to throw them away. And then it was just like, well, just make up these things and get them out. Maybe they do actually need to be finished. You know, as we talk about things like wanting to, clear the decks for this year, so that you go into the new year with, all the things. Maybe it's not. This is the end. It is the end of the year, and so this is a new year. So only new things have to continue. It's like I see it as a cyclical, where these things are to be finished, but my deadline for finishing them isn't the 31st of December. It could be that they go into the schedule. So rather than sitting where they're sitting, they actually need to go into the schedule of things that I then focus my time. And the other thing we had was the internet is down. So that really makes you focus. That really does make you focus on the work at hand, because you're not. I realized how distracting I sometimes, or not, distracting, because I do try and do more than one piece of work at the same time, and it was just like, where did you learn to do that? What made you feel that? And it started, I think, in the studio, where I would, you'd be working on, say, a painting, and you needed to do or it's a mixed media piece, and that needs to dry before you can do anything else. So I would start something else, and then so I would have all these different projects on the go. Or if I then felt not bored, but it was just like, I work intuitively, so I wasn't getting what I felt I needed to get, so that I could continue on that particular piece. It's cold under the table now, trying to get himself comfortable. And so I started or continued on another piece that was, maybe not so far in the process. So, maybe it is that we, you already may have all of your things sewn down, but in my head, I've got at least 100 projects that are all vying for my attention, and some, I guess the way you look at it is, what is the heaviest deadline? What's the one with the most urgent deadline, and how many can you get done in the next few hours? And it's just like, no, they're all saying it. And it's just amazing when you think of how many things that you do fit into your time. And I think you do have to take a step back and just congratulate yourself for, even just getting this far, and for achieving the things that you have done. So I think that's another thing that I want to say to you, that, sometimes we do feel that, oh gosh, I haven't done enough, when actually you've done, more than anyone could have ever imagined in the, situation that you're in, or the position, or physically, or whatever it is. And we underestimate how long things take. So where, you know, something could take you a day and you're expecting half an hour, it's just like we're not realistic on the length of time things take. And so I do want to remind you of that. And the tip for the week is
Tip of the week. Tip of the week.
reconnect to your dreams. So it's taking the time to really think about those things that you said you want to do. You don't have to have new dreams for a new year. They could be just, it's getting closer to that dream. You know, let's not think of it as like, you know, well, I've got, 24 hours to get this thing done and then I should get the results. And it doesn't necessarily happen like that. A quote, well, it's not a quote, it's just a saying that keeps coming to me. It's, you need to be found working. And it's not that you've got to be working 24/7. It's that you've got to stop thinking about the ultimate end game that you want, the result, and just focus on the detail of what needs to be done now. Because if I keep thinking of, this
is what I want to happen, and I want it to be like this, and I want it to happen then, and this.
It's just like you forget about what it is you're supposed to be doing. You know, and sometimes it's actually you've got to send that email. You've got to send those emails. You've got to sort out your website, make sure it's up to date. You've got to write that note, which is part of the project, because you've broken it down into its bits and you're doing a section, and this particular section needs you to make a note of, or show up for that live, or reconnect with. So you look at all these things, and it's making sure that you don't underestimate the time that something takes, and also take time for rest, because we don't want to be running on empty, and we don't want to go into 2026 on empty, on lack of sleep, on unhealthy pains all over our body, comfort eating. And the comfort eating, looking at that, when we think about, well, what are these triggers that we have that make us do certain things? And for me, it was not letting go of I was a carer for like 15 years. I looked after mum, and there were good times, there were struggling times, struggle. Oh my gosh, sleepless nights, lack of sleep, broken sleep. I would learning how to communicate in that I wouldn't say it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd say, oh, it's dark outside. Like, say the obvious, oh, it's really dark outside, it's not time to get up yet, because it would be lighter out there, kind of thing. Or maybe she just wanted a cup of tea, or maybe she was uncomfortable in the bed, and there could have been a whole range of reasons. But to then just think, oh yeah, no, she's just got to get back to bed because it's 1 o'clock and I need to get up, and I haven't got any sleep. But you have to then think about the way that you communicate. So being in that, and year after year, and Christmas and the New Year were always challenging for me. It wasn't until I was speaking about it that I realised the feeling that I felt, especially around Christmas, it was always really stressful. And I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted, and then get into the New Year, and I don't know. And I thought, hold on a minute, it's been 10 years since I've had to do that, but I'm still carrying that. It's like a trauma bond. I'm still carrying it with me year after year. So I'm feeling it now. That's why I've been comfort eating. So I was feeling it, and I had to say to myself, but what is that? Sorry, let me just have some water. And it's going to be a long one today. I'm going to whisk through the next section, but if you're okay, if you're still with me, then, cool. But yeah, I had to think about why was I still holding on to it, and that feeling, and if I let it go, what could I potentially feel? And obviously, if you let go that stress feeling and all of that, you can then make new memories, and that's what I need to do, make some new memories. And so just thinking about the different things that I could do, and one of them is, this is the third year I've been doing it, but whereas before we used to you stay up, oh, Happy New Year, smoke, and that feeling of it's now January, the whole year, and now it's January, beginning of the year. And yeah, as I say, it's about making new memories and thinking about things in a different way. And at the core of it is the self-care, and how do you look after yourself? How do you nurture yourself? And what is it you need to put in place that will, when you're actually feeling that kind of thing, what is it you need to put in place? Like, I know that I like to have especially in terms of courses, digital work and stuff like that I produce, I like to have all of those done in advance. And so there's certain things that I will sit down and do. And maybe there's other things in terms of my own self-care, like schedule something, nurturing space, schedule, going to the beach and swimming. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're there all day. It could be my lunch break I'll take an hour. Yeah, so let me, get to the sea, get in the sea, spend 20 minutes, come out, and then I've achieved that self-care aspect for myself. And if I feel like, for me, I feel that when I do go in the sea, because it's like I'm also excited and oh my gosh, and I'm prancing and swimming, and I just love it, that feeling, that just floating, treading water, and then the water's just there, and then looking out into the horizon, and it's just beautiful. And I just breathe, and I thank God that, I'm able to experience this. And so, there are so many things that we can put in place, and it could, just be like a mini spa day for yourself. What is it? What are the things that you like? Do you want to soak your hands, soak your feet, massage your hands, do your nails, or whatever? I did one nail. I'm looking for a natural nail polish, because all of them have got formaldehyde in, but apparently there are some that certain brands, I don't know, or I'll just buff, when your nails are nicely shaped and your nails are buffed, that's a nice look. So I've got one of those things that will buff my nails. And so there's a self-care treatment, and I've got a course. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but let's just quickly look at the quick question.
Quick question. Quick question.
The quick question is, why do you do the things that you do anyway? But and it's about being more precise about your thinking, in terms of, so you're going to do this, so why are you doing it? What is it you want to happen? What needs to be done? So it was adding more clarity to your understanding of the things that you're doing, and then that would in turn help you to be able to be better at being focused at whatever it is you're doing. So for instance, like I mentioned the story that I'm writing, and it does fill me with joy. The songs are so good. I love the songs. So, but there's more research that I need to do about time travel. And it's the idea that we have the memory or the connection of 14 generations of DNA. So within us, there's the remnants of, I mean, that might not be the scientific word that you would put towards it anyway, but and identity is part of it. Looking at your ancestors, doing that kind of research, and people that have done that kind of research, and how they felt doing it. Like, you know, when you find, oh, that was my great 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 grandfather, and he was a tailor, and he moved from here to here, or he lived in, or, you know, how far back can you trace? And for a lot of us, you know, where you can only trace that, well, my ancestors may have come from Ghana, and there may be, you know, but that's maybe all that you know, because then, you know, we've got the slave trade and everything that happened in between, and now we're here. But it's when you do find links to your past and your ancestors that were in your, you know, in your bloodline, how does that feel? And then what is the connection? Like, you know, we sometimes think it's like outlandish to think about doing more than we are told we can do now. Like, when you think about somebody and then your phone rings and it's them, or when you think about somebody and you go into a shop and they're there, or, you know, you might pass them in the food court or whatever it is. So it's like, how much of that connection is it that we don't understand, that we need to start thinking about? And what is it within you that you need to delve deeper in to unearth and unlock those things that will serve not only you, your community, the world? Because it is that connection between each one of us that is going to be the thing that is very powerful. You know, when you understand what your treasures are. That's another song, because some of the songs, they start from poems as well. So I've turned I guess, yeah, they start as poetry, and then sometimes it's like, no, this is a song, and then I can see clearly what the verses are. But it's one of the ones that it was a podcast that I did, and it was talking about, do you know your treasures, the treasures that lay within? And, you know, we've got to start using them. We've got to start actually seeing them for what they are. We've got to pick them up out of the dust that we thought was just a rock. You know, we thought it was just a rock. But look, hold on. I collect rocks. I've got quite a few in my collection. But it could be, you know, this, it's just, oh my gosh, feel the texture, the smoothness, it's cool. It's nice and cool. And so that's like picking up our treasure and saying, oh, I didn't realize I had this. Let me start doing something with it. And then suddenly it's, you know, when it's a song that then is released around the world, when you win a Grammy, and you know, countless people contact you because how your song transformed their lives, and one person actually you know, didn't take their life because they were just, you spoke to them through your song, through your poem, through your spoken word, through your book, through your painting, through the dance that you did, through the melodies, the music that you composed, through the garden that you designed. So anyway, use your treasure, know your treasure. So it's important that we know what our treasures are and know why we do what we do. I do what I do because it's my mission. I feel that, and I've talked about it many times, that part of my responsibility is speaking about those things that come on my heart, that I express through my art, that and somebody will be inspired, somebody will be blessed, somebody will be overcome with emotion because it released something in them. Like when I first started talking about, you know, looking after mum and dementia, there was a part of me that wasn't ready. It was just like I'm just not ready to talk about it. I don't talk about all of the challenges, all of the times I woke up, and all the times that I cried, and I just felt so alone, lost, like just wanting to. It was just like that. What about me? Where am I? You know, I didn't expect to have to do this, and whilst I'm doing it, and whilst I appreciate her so much, it's hard. It's hard taking care of somebody who doesn't know who you are, or drifts in and out of knowing who you are. And again, it was just like, no, you have to. It's like a dance, kind of learning the language, learning the different types of ways in which we can express ourselves. So mum might not be able to articulate who I am, but there were things about my tone of voice, about the things that only I would do in my way, you know, come up behind and hug her, and, you know, I mean, Robert used to do that as well. But obviously he had a different relationship with her, but so she would remember how I made her feel, and that's what I had to tap back into. And so it's important, and it's hard. It's at the same time, I didn't have anybody telling me this. I had to learn it. And you know, you think you've got it 1 month, and then the next month there's a shift in the illness, and you have to readjust, and you have to be flexible, and just try, and which is why it's so important, put things in place that you can step into. You can step into a journal and be creative for 5 minutes. You can step into a meditative state and breathe 5 minutes, set your timer, and just imagine that place that you can go to that is calm, that is peaceful. Allow your body to relax and just breathe. So those are things that you have to put in place. Those are things that you have to have for yourself so that you can reach. It's just like a backpack, a toolkit of things that, okay, I need reminding how special I am. You know, I'm not saying, you're so special. But it's, no, you are special. You are lovely. You're gorgeous. You're an amazing person who has strength, who has courage, and you've got this far. And that could just be a reel that I've saved. Okay, let me put it back in. Okay, journal. Okay, I just got 5 minutes. Open the page. Oh, I've done a doodle page, which I say is so important in terms of doing pages that will give you that space to just, I only have time to do white lines around these bits where I've done ink. So, you know, that's how we have to prepare for ourselves. And that's why I say, you know, well, why do you want to do what you want to do? These are the reasons. And this is what I will do to make sure I will get there. And yes, I'm going to have down days. Yes, I'm going to have days where I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I've got nobody to talk to. I don't know who to talk to. I'm just going to sit, and I've got some cream crackers and peanut butter in the fridge, so that's a comfort food back from, yeah, when we were, well, not even the peanut butter, it was mum would make hot chocolate. It's funny, I think this is what my mum's comfort food was, and it was just like, she makes it look so delicious, but she'd make the hot chocolate and then she'd break up the cream crackers and dip it in there, and then you'd get the you know, the really nice tasting cream crackers, and then they'd absorb the hot chocolate, and then you'd just take your spoon, and then there'd be a bit at the bottom where you could drink, you know, it would be like there would still be drinking chocolate left. And I used to see her doing that, and then I started doing it. I was just like, so this is, yeah. And then just other, you know, cake is a comfort food, and you know that. Anyway, so when you have those moments, what do you do that will enable you to stay on course? Yeah, so that is the quick question. And I wanted to therefore segue into an online course that I'm creating, and it starts on the 19th of January, and it's the Creative Self-Care course. So this is what we are going to be making. Although, you know, it's what I would call a junk journal. It's a collection of, so if you have made, you know, these kind of, you know, just got together pages, then that's what you would do. I do go through, you know, the different ways in which I decorate and all of this, and you know, you make envelopes and things to put your dreams, and there's a whole load of PDFs that we go through, and I'll show you how I would use them. And it's like the kit. It's again your creative self-care kit, and it ties into the Filling the Creative Well. So with that one, it's more. There's a lot more. The bird is just coming back now. But yeah, so the Filling the Creative Well is just, yeah, that's a full-on, you know, there's collaging, loads of words that we use. And this is the Filling the Creative Well journal. And you know, questions, prompts, asking you about, you know, what are the things that you like, are you choosing yourself, what colors are you feeling? So there's a whole series of questions that it asks you. So these two, you know, this is probably I guess it would be an introduction. And then if you wanted to do further work, then you go into the Filling the Creative Well. It also has things like in Filling the Creative Well, like making containers for your creative words. There's colouring for people who enjoy that kind of, you know, like mandalas, and we can use those in our journals and, you know, collages and things like that. So they're I think it's, for me, it was just like, so if I applied that question, why are you doing what you're doing? So for the Creative Self-Care Kit, I needed a reminder. This is my dream jar. So I can go into there, and there's 3 different types of written pieces, and I can choose one. You know, I could just be feeling, do you know what, I don't even know what to do. And I go in there and I take one out, and this is scripture. So there's scriptures, there's things that I can do, questions that I may want to answer. And this says, he prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies. And so for me, that is like, wherever you are, you're being carried. You're not alone. You know, God says he will never leave or forsake us. So you're never on your own. And so knowing that, there's always a remedy. And if you take a step, whatever that step might look like, it might just be, I can only make a small step, you will be met. And this is really key if we're all working and releasing our treasures, that I know that this is what you need. Or I had this feeling, I had this sense that I felt God telling me that I needed to bring you some shopping. And it was just like, oh my gosh, you know, we had just one tin of tuna and nothing else. And I didn't know how I was going to feed me and the 5 kids. You know, you must know people who've said, you know, well, this happened. And oh my gosh, you know, it was just like amazing how things just came together. And so it's people operating in their gifts and using their gifts, and not just like, oh no, I can't do anything. You know, I not even give a word of encouragement because I need it all for myself. And yeah, sorry, love, you know, you're on your own. You know, but sometimes it's just how are you? How are you? And listen, and it's just like, yeah, you know, how does it feel to have somebody who is pleased to see you and it shows on their face, as opposed to somebody just like, they're tolerating you or they don't even look at you. So walking in your gifts and operating in your gifts means that you have the courage to do the things that you think, well, why do I want to do this? I'm feeling that I need to do this, but why is it? And sometimes if you act, you meet somebody else who was praying for that very said thing. Yeah, so it's a challenge, and it's something that you have to practice, and you have to listen. And, you know, sometimes you're not sure. A number of times, I'm not sure why I make the things I make. And I make them, and it's always that they serve a purpose. Yeah. And so I do it now without questioning. I need not question anymore. You know, well, what am I making this for? Why am I holding on to those boxes? For a reason, because they need to be finished. The intention that I had when I got them to that stage needs to be realized, because somebody is praying for an experience that one of those things. Let me show you. So we've got them at several stages. This is another one that probably needs another couple of coats of paint and something. And so these are what I'm talking about. I make the kind of base, and I put all of the kind of maybe the embellishments that I would like underneath, the shapes that I would like, and then this is covered in paper clay, and there's layers and layers until it gets to this. So this is a lot heavier than this. So I've got a few, and it was just like, actually, no, you need to, because I want to tidy up, I want to clear out. And there's stuff that I know needs to go for the new year. So that's what we're going to do. Anyway, sorry about if you've got this far. Thank you so much. On the 31st of December, I'm going to be part of Artsy Meetup Marathon. Okay. So I think it's $44 before the 26th. And then after that, the price goes up. But I can't remember what it is. So it's $44 before. So I'll leave all the links in the description for you to have a look at. But I'm hoping to connect with you before the end of the year. And yeah, again, just tying a few little bits up and we're going to go into 2026 with all of the drive and the passion that we have within us. There are going to be so many things that just fall into place because we've made those steps, and you're going to meet new people, you're going to have new relationships, you're going to connect with different people on different levels, and you're really going to look at and connect with the gifts that are within you and actually use them and benefit not only yourself, your community, the world. Yeah, but you don't need to understand how you're going to get there. You just need to be found working. Okay, so take care for now. I will keep you updated on the songs and the writing and everything, and it's probably a project that I will go really big on in 2026. Yeah, and yeah, just excited for a lot of the things that I'd love to do, and now see a clearer way as to what I need to do. I've given myself permission. I've taken away some of the obstacles and I've made some really tough decisions that I need to stand on. And yeah, we're gonna go with everything that we've got, because we have this one life to leave our legacy and impact those who need to hear from you. So take care for now. Yes?